Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on NewsCenter Now. Sex trafficking in our state is not just a small problem, it's a big problem. We will take a look at this very serious issue.
If you have a child in school, you probably know about early release, but how do you feel about it? For the first time tonight, we are introducing a new feature where you can vote on our show.
This is NewsCenter Now.
It just felt like being raped over and over, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't live like this. But how do I get away?
Sex trafficking is not easy to talk about, and you might think of it as more of a global issue. According to the U.S. State Department, 600 to 800,000 people are trafficked across international borders every year, and approximately 80% of that trafficking involves sexual exploitation.
But it's happening here in Maine as well. For about 300 people a year, including the people you're about to meet who do not want to be identified, they say what happens in our state is definitely not the way life should be.
My huge first thought was like, I thought this stuff only happened on TV. I'm like, really? Maine, Portland, Maine, me?
We'll refer to her as Sarah. 10 years ago, a man pulled up next to her while she was walking home, promising her a modeling career in places like New York and California. But bright lights in big cities were not what Sarah wound up with. Instead, it was a hotel in New Jersey where he said she'd be expected to earn a certain amount of money each day by selling sex.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. And he punched me, and he took my phone, threw it out the window, and I got mad and I kicked the car, and he punched me a couple more times, and I had to go to work.
Sarah's story is not uncommon. Pimps are coming to Maine on a regular basis to recruit new girls. Steve Webster is a retired police officer, spent more than 3 decades on the force, and 5 of those years trying to help trafficking victims.
My wheels were spinning constantly because for every case that I got involved in, there were 10 more to take its place immediately.
There's just so many people here broken with no families, broken homes, so they target Maine girls. From what I've heard, the pimps over talking. You know what I mean? They'll tell the other pimps, oh, go to Maine, go to Maine.
A man bought Dee Clark when she was just 12 years old, and she spent 8 years being trafficked. Now 59, Clark is a resource and advocate for women who have been, or who still are, being trafficked in Maine.
Men want to buy sex. Men want to have sex with little girls, and men want to have sex with women. And because of that, people are going to provide it.
I've never met a woman who said I enjoyed selling my body. It just hasn't happened. So once people understand the fact that it's not a place that they want to be, but how do they get out?
That's the question. There's only one house in Maine for trafficking victims. It's in Bangor, and it has 5 beds. There are only 17 beds in all of New England.
I didn't really have goals or dreams or stuff like that.
This is Mary. She's now out of that life and working one day at a time to put her life back together.
A woman coming from a human trafficking should have a bed at the domestic violence shelter. It should be at the domestic violence shelter with the rest of the women that are battered and broken and are coming to get on their feet. There was a bed available in Lewiston in a beautiful home that they have, but I was denied because I was a victim of human trafficking. So instead I had to stay at the same equivalent. It's a wet shelter. People are coming in drunk and puking and getting high in the bathrooms, and this is what we offer.
Selling sex has often been described as the world's oldest profession, but there are a growing number of people trying to change that.
Maybe this isn't the oldest profession. Maybe it is the oldest oppression. And these young girls and these women do not want to be here.
The 13th Amendment, that changed centuries of thinking, and that we decided to stand against something, and that was slavery. Are we going to stop evolving and stop thinking about things because it's been going on for centuries or eons? that we can just ignore exploitation. We can do things to progress to a new evolution of thinking.
This is obviously a conversation that's really important to talk about, a topic that we will continue to follow here on Now.
Tori Ryden interviewed recently a woman who was trafficked for sex at the Danish Health Club in Kittery. She was also dragged into other prostitution rings before she was finally able to escape her pimp. So the question is, how do you know if someone is involved in this, if they've been sucked into this? Are there signs you should be looking for?
Simply put, human trafficking is a violation of everything humane. It is a complicated term that covers labor and sex trafficking plus domestic servitude. Those caught up in it, the victims, are all around us. They may have low self-esteem, drug or alcohol problems, or not enough love and guidance at home. I speak with former sex slave Janice Marino and Special Agent Russ Brown, who heads up the FBI's Human Trafficking Department in Boston. They share important signs we all need to know tonight at 6.
And if you're looking for help, you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline. That's 1-888-373-7888, or you can text the number 33733 between the hours of 3 and 11 p.m.
Hey everybody, I'm Katie Ortiz. Every day on NewsCenter Now, we interact with you in real time on Facebook Live, answering your questions and having thoughtful conversations, putting the now in NewsCenter Now. Well, now we're taking it a step further and giving you a new way to interact with not only us, but other viewers too. Starting today, you'll be able to vote in a new interactive poll and see instant results on air. Now, here's how it works. We'll ask you a question for different stories. Now, using your smartphone, tablet, whatever you have, you can go to our mobile app and select the Pulse category. You can also head to pulse.newscentermaine.com. You don't need to create a login, just open the web page and vote. Select your option, and you'll see how many people either agree or disagree with you at that moment. You'll find more information about this new feature on our websites. Lee and Amanda?
All right, so during the next story, we are going to try it out.
So grab your device, like seriously, grab it, get your phone right now, and get ready to weigh in, and Chris is going to tell us about his story.
All right, so we know the school year is winding down. Some districts are already thinking about next year. The Auburn School Department is considering adding early release days for students in grades 7 through 12. Now, the debate around this circles about how exactly the school district should implement it. Should they do releases as early as 11:30 in the morning every few weeks, or should they let students out just 1 hour early more frequently? That's what the Auburn School Board is trying to decide right now. They'll have to narrow down 9 options compiled by parents and board members at a recent meeting. So why do districts do these early releases? Many do so to provide professional development for teachers. That's time that they can speak with each other about concepts that they feel students need to have mastered to be ready for college or their career.
So when people say, well, you're losing an hour of instruction time, that's what you're equating to a seat time. It's going to be that PD helps us get better, to help better instruct, to make our teaching effective, so our students continue to learn as they have been and will continue to do so.
Cape Elizabeth schools also plan to change the way they handle early releases for professional development, but their plan is already approved. They will release school 1 hour early for 14 Wednesdays throughout the year for all grades, kindergarten through 12. Some working parents say this change means they'll have to schedule more consistent child care for shorter hours instead of less frequently for larger chunks of time.
The regularity of it is going to mean more need for childcare as opposed to just being able to step out every now and then, once a month or so. And I really understand, respect the need that teachers do need that time. It's really important. It makes our schools great. It makes our teachers great. It makes working around that schedule complicated.
Now, Auburn and Cape Elizabeth are not the only districts that are doing this for the professional development days during the school calendar. There are dozens of districts all over the state that currently have some form of early release for teacher professional development.
Yeah, by the way, this is really cool.
Yeah, the pulse at the bottom of the screen is fantastic. And I will tell you this, I'm all about the teachers and their development. I certainly understand that. But you're talking about every school vacation, every holiday, every snow day, and now half days where parents who work have to find someone to watch their kids, or they have to pay for someone to do that. So from a parent's perspective, I can see why they're like, wait a second. we need our kids in school here at some point, right? So
now this is not the opposite side of this, but it's just another factor.
Sure,
There's so many factors in this. But one of the things that I spoke with about Katie Grondin, who's the Auburn superintendent, she said that it's basically more effective for these teachers to meet every other week, every 2 weeks. They really can get more done as far as, are the plans that we're doing with these students, are we implementing them well? Are they working? If they try to do that once every 3 months, it's like, okay, we met in October, and then we don't meet again until January. It's like, well, maybe we missed the boat on that one. Now, again, that's just one side, and it's just another factor in all of this. So a complicated issue.
65% and growing want half days less often.
Yeah, this is interesting. So we're going to keep voting because we'll get to we'll get a final total later. Okay. Otherwise, you're thinking about buying or selling property in Maine, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You know how hot the market is right now. We're going to show you some properties on the market that may give you the best bang for your buck.
And as the first round of dental students gets ready to graduate, a Maine college is keeping its promise to keep those kids right here in Maine. Welcome back, everybody. Earlier on now, we introduced you to our brand new tool, Pulse. You see it at the bottom of your screen. It's a tool we're going to be incorporating into our shows much more in the future. It gives you a chance to weigh in on different stories immediately. Now, just now we talked about early release days at school. You guys weighed in, and the majority of you think that schools should have half days but less often. In our next commercial break, we'll do another Pulse poll on our Facebook live stream. It's about Elton John, so watch for that.
A man from Maine is back in Guatemala after being deported. Time now for more news now. Otto Morales Caballeros was picked up by ICE last month for using a false social security number when he first came to America more than 20 years ago. His wife says he's been applying for legal citizenship for the past 6 years. Today, she told us that her husband arrived in Guatemala this morning. Democratic Secretary of State Matt Dunlap could be serving on a panel to look into voter fraud. President Trump created that panel to investigate allegations of improper voting and fraudulent registration, and Dunlap's name came up as a possible member. He says he is open to serving on the committee. And the Rocket Man is headed back to Maine. This morning, Waterfront Concerts announced Elton John will play in Portland and in Bangor in November. Pop star has not played in the state since 2008, so we were due. Tickets go on sale next Friday.
I saw him back in 1993.
All right, a group of Maine college students are about to make history as the first graduating class of dentists.
Keith is also about to make history for worst Mother's Day forecast ever.
Hello.
We're having a heated debate on this.
About Elton John.
You saw Elton John, you said, back
I did,
in the
1993.
90s.
Yes, sir.
I saw him last year, and I didn't even really want to see him. It was part of a bigger music event, and he was awesome. Yeah. It was one of those that converted me to be a bigger fan.
It was my
after
bucket list item, one of them, and I got rid of it a long time ago. So.
He definitely rocked
he's
out.
Good, he's good live.
Great show.
All right.
Great show. I'm trying to stall so I don't have to talk about the weather.
I mean, it's the same old, same old.
It is. Guttner made a graphic to make everyone feel better. This is what he does, right? On this day in 1945, it snowed 5 inches in Portland. So if you think a few showers are bad, there's always that. Bangor got 3.8 inches in 1963. So it does happen. And again, puts this in perspective, and it feels better, or at least that's the point of that graphic. It's just a few showers out there. They're mainly sprinkles. Some of these actually not even reaching the ground. They're evaporating before they get to the ground. But it's still cool. Temperatures have had a really hard time through this week into the mid-50s. Freiburg relatively mild at 58, but remember, 63 to 65 is roughly our average this time of the year, and we just haven't sniffed that for a while. We haven't been over 60 in a little while, and obviously 48 in Bar Harbor, 48 in Rockland. Tomorrow's a dry day. Now, it does start with clouds. You should be aware of that. But the clouds evaporate from northeast to southwest, such that tomorrow afternoon looks pretty good in my opinion. This is 3:30. It's partly cloudy, maybe mostly sunny right along the coastline there. And Saturday's a good-looking day with a good deal of sunshine, clouds on the increase by late in the afternoon, and then the rain moves in Saturday night. And as forecast, unfortunately, Mother's Day not looking good. It's degrees of rain that we're talking about for Mother's Day. There'll be a coastal low out here, some heavy rain, particularly along the coastline. It might be a little lighter in the rainfall department as you head inland, but I don't see a situation in which you don't see rain on Mother's Day, and that will start on Saturday night. Good news is the pattern starts to loosen up as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. It's all about the position of a front, such that on Wednesday and probably Thursday, we could have a huge spread over Maine. Some communities near 80 degrees over southern Maine, and northern Maine could be in the upper 40s to around 50. So we'll obviously nail that down for you when we get a little bit closer as far as where the warm weather will end up. So Mother's Day again does not look good. Showers on Monday. I like the way Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday look on the whole. Temperatures will start ramping up in the right direction. And again, not out of the question that we'll have a spread that's about 30 degrees next week between southern Maine and northern Maine. We'll nail that down as we get closer.
Crazy. Crazy Maine.
All right, well, the weather might get hot. The housing market is hot, especially for first-time home buyers here in our state.
Yeah, Adrian Stein is with the president of the Greater Portland Board of Realty with the hottest properties in Greater Portland for 300 and under.
Raylene Estabrook is here with some of the hottest properties in that super scorching hot 300,000 and under price range. Very popular with first-time home buyers at this point. They're on the market today. They may not be on the market tomorrow.
They may be gone tomorrow. They're going so quick, it's hard to keep track of what's still current and what's not.
So these are on the market as of this morning. Let's start with your first pick for a hot property.
My first pick for a hot property is 43 Newton Street in Portland. And the reason I love this house is because it screams curb appeal. It's a bungalow style house, which is extremely desirable. The modern upgrades to this house are fantastic. However, it retains that charm that we find in those older homes. The other thing I love about that house is it's got an amazing backyard.
And what is the price point for that one?
The price point for that one is $239,900.
This is the one that really caught your eye. This one's in Yarmouth.
This one's in Yarmouth. This one is at 64 Summer Street, and it just popped on the market last night. The reason it caught my eye is because it actually has 4 bedrooms. And it's still one that's not fully renovated, so you can bring your own ideas to the property.
All right, so the last one that we have that you like, hot property 300 or under, is actually $300,000. Tell us about this one.
It's $300,000. It's on 26 Plymouth Street, and it's already been beautifully renovated. So if you don't want to get into a project house, this one has everything already done for you. And the bonus with this house, once again, is it's actually on a large city lot, which is tough to find in Portland, and has a 2-car garage.
So if you like any of these, don't delay.
This is absolutely that hot pricing point, and when they come on, they're going quickly, so you want to make sure that you're ready to buy, you're pre-approved, and you call your realtor immediately to get in and see it.
All right, Raylene Estabrook, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, to find out what's coming up on NewsCenter at 5:30, we have Cindy and a special guest. Stand by for surprise time. Surprise time. The big reveal.
First off, prepare yourselves. Brown-tail moth season.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad year, folks. We got details on exactly what that means and what you ought to watch out for. With the fate of the Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument up in the air, supporters are hoping to prove why it needs to stay. Plus, what it takes to be both a successful mom while still heading up a major company. Secrets to success from another female CEO in Maine. All right, here's the special guest. Ta-da!
Hey. So you want politics, you say?
We want politics.
Okay,
Pat
well,
was just in Washington.
At 5:30, but first, at 5:30, you're going to have the Speaker of the House, Sarah Gideon, and the Senate President, Mike Thibodeau, are both going to be in studio talking about where we stand on the budget. There's some big stumbling blocks to overcome. We're going to see how close they might be on a deal. Then at 6 o'clock last week, we were in Washington. Part of our mission was to look into the Senate Intelligence Committee, the job that they're doing in investigating possible Russian ties to the Trump campaign, certain Russian hacking in the election of the last year, and the role that both of Maine's U.S. senators play, hearkening back to 30 years ago when you had Bill Cohen and George Mitchell both on the Iran-Contra Committee. Now you have Susan Collins and Angus King, both a pivotal role in an enormous story that threatens to engulf the Trump administration.
And we're going to hear from both of them. Thank you so much.
Just brought you the all-star team.
You got to bring the big dogs in sometimes.
Can I just grab an autograph? NewsCenter Now continues after this. Sign this, will you?
It's difficult in those areas, as well as, getting people that want to, go there and actually practice.
Some soon-to-be graduates are heading to rural parts of our state to help fill the need for dentists.
We're also part of history because this is actually the first class to graduate from the University of New England's dental school, which is the only dental school in northern New England. Jess Gagne met some of the new docs who are practicing their newly learned skills in state.
Racing, surrounded by lights and tools, the dentist chair can be a scary place for some Mainers. But fear not.
I feel a little sensitive.
Your options for dental care are about to get a boost.
If you can't tell by my smile and the way I conduct myself, I'm extremely proud.
This is our odontogram.
4 years after its opening, UNE's College of Dental Medicine is sending its first graduating class out into the workforce. And the school says 23% of students are staying in the state.
Having been from Maine all my life and realized the advantages of being here, we've kind of passed that on.
As of January 1st of this year, the Kaiser Family Foundation ranked Maine below the national average for percentage of dental needs met, with an estimated 48 practitioners needed to fill the gap. That number will get some help from the graduates who plan to stick around and also from the graduates who have been here for a while. UNE says 11 of the 24 Mainers in this class have already declared their intent to remain in their home state.
I know the site that I'm actually going to has been trying to recruit for 9 months now.
Lincoln is where he's from, and Lincoln is where Adam L'Italian will be practicing. His commitment to spending some time at home earned him a scholarship from Delta Dental.
It's an advantage for me being from that area and already kind of know what I'm getting myself into. So I'm excited and looking forward to starting that.
He's not alone in his love for rural Maine. Dustin Netto is a Mainer whose parents are from Madawaska. He's seen the need in this state and plans to help fill it in Newport.
I think it's really important for us as a younger generation to really, keep the state going and to stay here and try to serve our people.
More Mainers behind the mask to help keep our state smiling into the future.
By the way, those students graduate May 20th.
Okay, so here's today's brain drop. Is a kind of interesting video. Interesting is one way to. Can we put this into motion for everybody at home? This is a Pacific razor clam that was caught out in Oregon, tunneling into the sand. And then watch what it does here at the end. So it's interesting. What makes these razor clams different is that they will dry up if they don't get under the sand. A normal clam can close all the way. This clam always has that exposed. What you're seeing there is the gills of it. It's basically breathing. And then watch what happens because it has to take water and nutrients through the gills and then out the other end. So that's not what you think it is. It's actually it breathing, more or less. Isn't that cool?
That's actually kind of cool.
It is cool.
I was afraid and I'm okay with it.
It's like almost animated in a way because it looks like a mouth even though it's not a mouth. It's cool and creepy at the same time. That's what I aim for in brain drops.
You caught me off guard. I backed off a little bit, but it is really cool.
It's not that bad. Wait.
All right, cool and creepy.
NewsCenter at 5:30 starts right now.
Oh, perfect.